Greetings, Guardians, my name is Bife here. So today we're going to be covering that final note about Egregore, that last video in the 3-part series that I'd started recently. We're going to talk about the dark powers it holds, but in particular as they relate to Calus's plans in all of this season's story. Understanding Calus's plan isn't something we can do for sure at this exact moment because we don't understand the true end goal of it completely. We understand the gist and we understand the thrust of what he's trying to do, but we aren't entirely sure what the ramifications are entirely. So it's worth remembering that there is room still for unpleasant surprises for us to find out as we encounter Calus in the final story beats of the season, potentially. Who knows what we'll be doing, but either way, I think the point to be made is simply this. Calus is doing something. Calus's plan is coming to fruition, and if Calus does succeed, unsurprisingly, what Calus is planning will not bode well for us. So where do we really begin with this? Well, I think first we should start by identifying Calus's aims first. Luckily for us, we were able to do just this within the Duality Dungeon. Repressed memory fragments and the final dialogue from Eris Morn all help to give us a really clear picture of what Calus has been trying to do and why he's trying to do it.
There, in that gravity shadow, I was truly seen. There, I understood my role in the closing of the circle. The witness opened its mind to me, and I saw my darkest desire made reality. I will be the last. It is my right. I am the herald. I am the end. The witness's voice is so strong now. I hear it clearer than my own. I understand now what true paracausality is. The light and the dark are threads on a loom, woven into the tapestry of the universe by those who wield it. The witness would see things differently. The gaps between those threads. Freedom from the greater design. Freedom for all. I have reached the limits of what this crumbling body can offer. And yet there is so much more that I must do. I must shed my remaining attachments to this flesh and ascend. The others have, and a path is laid before me. There is fear in this. Fear of losing myself. But there is no other way. I must prove my loyalty, or wither. To understand the final shape, I must become more than myself.
And so Calus's truth is laid bare. From his rise, to his fall, to whatever it is he is becoming now, Calus is seeking transfiguration. He believes it will help him better understand the goals of the witness, the final shape. This is something I have heard spoken in Hive Apocrypha, and from the lips of Tolan the Shattered. According to the Hive, the final shape is that which remains when all that can be removed has been removed. It is as vague a notion as it is fascinating. If this is the witness's true endgame, we must strive to understand it. And in that understanding, perhaps, we can prevent the second collapse.
So Calus is attempting to do just as Oryx did. He is chasing the final shape. This is clearly the end goal of the Witness, and speaking generally, it should be assumed that this is the goal of each of the Witness's disciples, to bring about the final shape wherever possible. Here, however, is where we need to begin looking into a series of things that Callus has told us to discern the exact nature of the methods by which he is attempting to carry out the witness's will and embody the final shape. The first source of information, as will be the case for a few of these, is going to actually come from Callus himself, in particular, the Callus automatons. We can discover these Callus robots in the halls of the Leviathan's underbelly as we're conducting the Sever missions. There are 6 in total, and each of them gives a little bit more context on Callus's plans, but the first 3 are the really important ones, as they give the idea of something remarkable: Callus's transformation. The first of these robots can be found in the Sever Shame mission, and it says the following.
An uninvited guest slithers through the bowels of my Leviathan. This mechanical appendage is maintained poorly, unable to see the grandeur of your brave face. Come now, closer. Let me bask in you.
Another trap? I'd keep you a distance. Our mission takes precedence.
I can feel you there, Lightbearer. Our last encounter was hostile. I forgive you. Embrace me, and I will share such wonders with the Vanguard that your paltry light could never outshine. Allow me to open you, mind and body, as mine have been opened. Simply turn back and enjoy what is to come.
It seems clear from this first interaction that the Emperor can perceive things through his mechanical doubles. However, the later statement implies that he can even feel the Lightbearer when they got nearer, and that implies that he really is almost extending his consciousness through them and is able to sense them. Callus also states that his mind and body have been opened, which sounds like a very typical revelatory spiel that you'd get from some mad emperor, but in this instance, later revelations I think justify the idea that this is actually a very true statement. The second of these automatons, which can be found in the Sever Reconciliation mission, tells us even more about this idea of opening one's mind, but it also implies that we too are on this same path.
You attempt to halt a cosmic performance that is beyond you, a beauty forged outside of your understanding. You struggle, as I did, a grub fattened on the lies of reality, writhing within a suffocating existence. But the silken walls of that cocoon are not a grave, little grub. They are petals, waiting to bloom. Soon, you will emerge to see the magnanimous arc of eternity unfurl before you, its story laid bare. You will understand what I understand. Our end is set. All that remains is the drama of our strife, the struggle to push open our walls. So, resist if you must. It is in your nature to defy, even against your own best interests. It will only hasten your revelation.
Here, Callus tells us that reality is a lie of sorts, and states that we will all eventually obtain freedom from it. The particularly telling phrase here is that as we are freed from the lie of existence, we will see the magnanimous arc of eternity laid before us. This to me seems to go hand in hand with the idea of what we've seen as we're investigating the Egregore. If the Witness is deeply rooted into the Egregor's mycelial network, then it'd be a fair guess to say that whatever dies and feeds the egregore network joins it, and perhaps grants its memory to it, its personality, all those different traits that again not only are bound up with the egregore, but also with the ideas of darkness, one of which of course being identity. Thus, our perspectives can be joined to that of the greater whole, to that of the witness, and potentially can be consumed. That last part is theoretical, but it's most definitely a tantalizing theory given that it follows a lot of the same hooks as are being presented within all of the other information we've gathered on Callus's plans. He seems to pose this idea of becoming one with a greater whole, gathering a greater perspective, and ultimately seeing some kind of revelation that enforces his belief that our fight against the Witness is pointless. The third of these robots is perhaps the most direct and enlightening, and it tells us exactly what's been going on with the egregore, the Leviathan, and Callus. It's really fascinating. Take a listen.
This construct is coded in the same spores found aboard the Glykon. Ikora says they could connect consciousness through the darkness.
Isn't it magnificent? The Leviathan was once my prison, but now we are one body. Its systems, my mind.
Is that so? Mechanical function is compromised, Guardian. It's harmless. Don't let him stall you.
I wouldn't dream of it. It is a unique delight to feel the Leviathan's inhabitants wriggling through my innards. And when you do battle across my steely flesh, an unmatched sensation. Caress every dark reach you can find. In your futile journey, you will come to see things my way. You will lay down your arms and stay. On that night, I'll raise a chalice to your lips, and we will feast.
And there we see the first part of a great revelation of Callus's truth. Callus has become one with the Leviathan. He is the ship is him, both referred to separately and yet also combined, two and yet one, both and yet somehow neither. He speaks about the ship as though it is a thing that is growing, but he also describes himself as the ship. He describes his own change and metamorphosis. He describes the growth and change of the Leviathan and its hull. He is beginning to grow and infest it, and I believe he is doing this through the egregore. I think the method by which he's been able to do so is explained relatively simply, and it's explained yet again through those patrols that we get on the Leviathan, the Behold patrols. The following Behold patrols dialogue not only highlights how Callus has become one with the ship, but also how it is infested with egregore, how that egregore is creating new life, and how this new growth should be an encouragement for us to pursue a similar path. Take a listen to these 6 bits of dialogue that seem to make reference to all of this in particular, and in particular listen to the 5th out of these 6, as it has a very interesting pronoun which I believe tells us even more about Callus and the ship.
The Leviathan has changed since last I had guests. Its innards have twisted into new shapes, its steely flesh blooming with new growth. I encourage you to witness these changes for yourself and ask a question. What more could you become if only you didn't fear loss?
There's spores in the air here. Same kind we'd seen aboard Callus's research vessel Glykon. They don't seem to be harmful.
Aspirating the egregore spores allows them to take root in your body. While they are symbiotic, they are also short-lived. But for a time, they join your consciousness to that of the mycelial network and other minds that would witness you. In my exile, I thought of the Leviathan as a prison. But what I have found while journeying has given me greater perspective. Do you hear that, Guardian? The Leviathan is breathing. Its veins pulse. Its heart beats. This ship is alive in so many ways.
It's not actually alive, is it? Weird readings here. The power conduits below this spot have a reversed flow. The energy is behaving strangely. I don't know how to describe it.
The Leviathan is growing, changing, transforming. You are witnessing the death of one state of being and the beginning of another. Terrible and beautiful new life will bloom from its carcass.
There's definitely something below us. A larger facility. I can't tell if it's still functional. On a scan, it looks like the hull folded in on itself.
My Leviathan has been changing, contorting itself into new shapes and forms, both regal and majestic. I encourage you to stay around long enough to bask in the majesty of our transformation.
I'm reading pieces of exterior hull fused with the machinery below this lift. I can't explain how the outside of the ship got in here.
When this ship passed beyond the threshold of our universe, the change had already begun. You are witnessing its growing pains. I can feel every bulkhead, every door, every pillar pulsing with new life. You understand now what I wanted to show you.
Again, note that Callus describes the transformation of the Leviathan as our transformation. That's an interesting way of describing himself and the ship transforming. So Callus is one with the Leviathan. So what? Why does that matter? Well, it matters because where he's going next is even more terrifying. The whole season, the Leviathan has been circling the moon and has been connected to the pyramid ship on Luna. As we've been severing the nightmares that bound Callus to the pyramid ship, he was becoming weaker and weaker, and with the two nightmares severed, it became clear that we needed to do some further investigation, especially as Keitel's attempt to sever the nightmare of Dominus Gaul failed. After the mission Sever Rage, it was made clear to us that we needed to investigate this link between Callus and the pyramid in more depth on Luna's surface, and so Eris sent us upon a mission to discover the nature of what was happening there. As we touched down, it was clear that the forces of Shivor Arath, the hive that had overtaken the Lunar Brood, had suddenly begun to coordinate with Callus's forces. This was the moment at which Eris identified a ritual of sorts being conducted within the K1 Revelation Lost Sector. She sent us there, and then we were able to deduce that this ritual linked the Leviathan and the pyramid, and there was a further trail to follow, which we would follow back to the pyramid itself, near where we fought and had to retreat from the Nightmare of Crota for the first time. This is where we discovered a red flag that linked all of it. In front of the pyramid's warding zone, we discovered a series of Loyalist Cabal soldiers who were dead, but their throats had been lined with egregore spores.
This nightmare is quelled. Buried in the screams of its death throes lies a call to the pyramid. Callus must have used the relic in this place as a focusing point in lieu of the connections we've severed to the Pyramid Guardian. Callus's loyalists. Egregore spores line their esophagus. They are freshly dead. Empty. I see now. Their lives were forfeit, spent as a cost to ferry Callus's mind across a vast distance and hasten ingress to the pyramid. Our foe is desperate. But that means our plan is working. I must speak with Keitel. Return to me.
Eris now had the intelligence that she needed to confirm her suspicions. The Leviathan and the Pyramid were being linked by these 2 points in K1 Revelations and in the zone before the Pyramid's warding, and the linkage was being accomplished by Egregore, allowing the psychic network that pulsed through the Leviathan to be joined with that of the Pyramid. Remember that, as we've discovered in earlier videos, all of these points are connected to a greater point out in the darkness, which is presumably where the witness lies. Eris then revealed the ultimate truth of the matter, which was simply this: the link between the Leviathan and the Lunar Pyramid was being created as a means of transfiguration for Calus to literally transfer his consciousness from one vessel to another. When Calus said that he was willing to pursue the final shape, this is what the witness had in mind. Calus would become one of the witness's disciples and would indwell within the vessel that had haunted us from our night sky this whole time. This was Calus's final metamorphosis, the transformation that would allow him to ascend into the final shape, his way of getting closer to the witness's plans. It's worth now stating that I'm writing this video on the day before the 7th week of the season. Who knows if we're going to see something more coming out of the seasonal story just hours before I publish this video. If we do, I imagine that this video will come with an addendum. For the moment, however, I think we can safely say that the ramifications of this transformation may well be catastrophic. Maybe I'm talking about this, and as I've published it, we've actually come up with a solution in the seasonal story. If we have, I'll do a quick story follow-up video to talk about the ramifications of that in a day or two. However, for the moment, I think we should all be on our guard. If we do see a resolution to this in this week's story or not, I think it's going to be important to remember that Calus and the Witness seem to be awfully calm about what's going on Luna and on the Leviathan. They are not being deterred or perturbed. They seem to be in control, and that should worry us all. But that's all from me for now. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and leave a like down below. And if you want more Destiny lore content, go ahead and hit subscribe and the bell next to subscribe. Also, leave your own thoughts down below in the comments section. And quick note on that, if you are going to leave a comment, please try and keep spoilers for the weekly story away from the comments section, specifically because of the fact that we don't want to spoil people on that if they've not played it just yet. If this video is releasing around about the time when we're anticipating, then yeah, it may be kind of fresh and people may not have played it. Hence why I'm kind of okay with releasing this video at this moment in time. If it is released and that happens to be the case, well, you know, it's going to be great. We're going to have everybody caught up with a preview of Calus's plans. But if not, still, let's just make sure we keep story stuff to a minimum, just in case of spoilers. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and know that as per usual, your viewership is quite enough for me, and that in the meantime, my name is Byf. Horodacia ad Astra. I'll see you, Starside.